I mean, if you wanted to describe Elon Musk in a nutshell, I don't think he would fit in a nutshell.
One of the great things about pitching to Elon in this context is that a lot of times we would pitch to the VCs and to other angels, and they would say, what you're trying to do is so crazy. You're trying to make an electric sports car, that's insane. And we are pitching to somebody who is actually trying to make rocket ships. And so
you couldn't really say that.
Right, in context, he was like, oh yeah, I got that.
In the summer of 2007, Eberhard was replaced as CEO and left the company a few months later. Musk eventually became the fourth CEO of the company and has held that role since October of 2008.
Can you describe the moment that you realized you could no longer be part of Tesla?
No.
Is there anything you can say about why you left?
No.
Hey, I'm Stephen and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in this video, I'm reacting to some clips of Tesla's original founders, sharing some insights into the early days of Tesla, Elon Musk, some of the challenges they overcame, and the future of the company. So let's get into the video. But first, hey guys, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. Unless you don't like free stocks, that is. And if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it.
Elon Musk is the most famous Tesla CEO.
Hey everyone!
But Martin Eberhard and Marc Tarpenning were the original founding executives. CNBC sat down with them to talk about the earliest days at Tesla.
There are a lot of people who don't realize you two started the company. How do you respond to people who think that Elon is the creator of Tesla?
Elon was, investor in Series A. He was very supportive always, financially and on the board. And then he became the CEO. He's actually the fourth, I think that's right,
Yes.
the fourth CEO of Tesla. And he has taken
Second chairman of the board.
Second chairman of the board, and he's taken it, to heights that are, fantastic. So he's done an amazing job. But yeah, and he was always supportive, from the beginning, but he wasn't the founder in the sense of he wasn't, we started it.
Well, I mean, this is one of the things that I found kind of fascinating about him is that he's actually accomplished some amazing things in his own right.
He's totally amazing.
Yeah, SpaceX is amazing, and he's done some interesting things with Tesla for sure. I'm not sure why he has to also say that he was a founder when he wasn't. I don't understand that.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
One of the earliest controversies at Tesla, who are the original co-founders? Obviously, Marc and Martin were there from day one at the incorporation of the company. A few months later, Elon Musk is on board, leading the original financing rounds and having a huge say in the company, really pushing things forward. So let me know in the comments below, is it reasonable for Elon Musk and JB Straubel, in fact, to claim to be co-founders of Tesla? Keeping in mind that many startups will add co-founders along the way, months, sometimes even years after the company's originally formed, depending on how much influence and sway they've had over the company in those early days.
I had talked about this with Marc, and Marc was reasonably skeptical, and asked me a lot of questions about well, I mean, what is the right technology if it's not going to be a gasoline-powered car? Well, so I wound up doing the math. I wound up calculating the well-to-wheel energy efficiency of every kind of transportation I could think of. Of course, fuel cells, gasoline, diesel, biofuels, electric cars. Electric cars where the electricity is made from coal, where it's made from natural gas, where it's made from oil. And it was a surprise to both of us that every which way I did the numbers, the electric cars were a lot better than everything else.
One of the things in terms of how we found investors and how we kind of figured out how to make the car at the beginning was an electric car is a bunch of computers, it's batteries, it's motors, and then there's the sort of car around it. And the problem is that Silicon Valley does those first things really, really well. So I was pretty convinced, working with Martin, and we were looking through the numbers, and that it was going to be possible to make the thing that made the car go. But I was very concerned we weren't going to be able to make the car to go around it.
After Eberhard and Tarpenning came up with the idea for the battery, the next hurdle was to build the car around it. They discovered it was fairly common for automotive companies to outsource certain aspects of manufacturing. So they started looking for a partner and reached out to an English company called Lotus.
Lotus was able to write a letter for us that said, if this company can do what it says and gets funded and everything else,
We'll be their partner.
We might be their partner.
Yeah.
Might. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
well,
all
it wasn't legally binding, but yes.
But it was what we needed, though, to show investors that we had a plan. We had at least a plan, and we had a couple of backups as well in how to make the car.
And we had shown through my investment in AC Propulsion that one could build a battery pack that way.
On July 1st, 2003, Tesla Motors was incorporated.
We self-funded it first. Some of my money, some of my brothers and friends and stuff like that, little bits of money here and there. And we were also touching the VC community, particularly ones that had made money on our previous investments.
But it was pretty clear early on. A lot of the VCs, you have to get sort of, if not consensus among the partners, like, you know, if you have a big fund and you have 5 partners, they all kind of have to say yes. Or at least you can't have one veto it. So it depends on the structure of the firm. But our reality distortion field wasn't good enough to get like all 5 partners to believe all at once.
The crazy thing is we come into these firms and we convince the tech guy who's in our space, perfectly, totally understand it. We convince a bunch of others, and we get actually vetoed by their biotech guy. You know,
right?
That's what happened.
I don't like sports cars. You know,
yeah,
like,
or more than that, I'm an expert in sports cars, and you don't know anything.
Right.
That was more. I mean, because almost every VC is actually an expert on cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually and above average drivers, all of them.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a bunch of savages just ripping on the VCs there. Although in their defense, back in the day, I mean, 2003, 4, 5, 6, etc., it really was a tall order and a big sell to try to convince anyone that electric vehicles would be viable in the future when the only examples they'd really seen in the marketplace were extremely low-range golf buggy type EVs. So it really did take some understanding of the technology, the declining costs, etc., economies of scale to understand that in the future, mass market electric vehicles with good range, good performance, etc. would actually be viable. So I don't really judge the VCs too harshly for being very skeptical of Tesla in the early days, but hey, wouldn't you hate to be one of the VCs that passed on investing in Tesla?
And then we encountered Elon, and you can talk about.
Well, so we had met Elon before in a different way. That we're both space enthusiasts or whatever, and we were founding members of the Mars Society, numbers 14 and 15, I believe.
I think we have our lifetime memberships.
Yeah, and we went to a talk that the Mars Society put on.
It was their conference.
Yes,
it was their annual conference.
Yeah.
Happened to be at
and
Stanford.
One of the speakers was Musk. And he was intriguing, so we cornered him afterwards and talked to him for a while, and that was nice. That was sort of it. And then later on, I had a gentleman's agreement with the management at AC Propulsion, who was also out trying to get money, and they had chased down Elon Musk and had tried to persuade him to invest in AC Propulsion, and the chemistry between the AC Propulsion team and Musk was not going to work. And they tried for a while, and after a while, they realized they're just not going to get the deal. And the president of AC Propulsion called me up at that point and says, "Okay, I'm giving up on those guys. You can go ahead and talk to Musk now." Yep. So I sent an email off to Elon saying, basically saying, you know, we met at the Mars Society. I don't know if you remember that, but we have this idea, and I'd like to come and talk to you.
That was interesting because so when we met him at the Mars Society, he hadn't started SpaceX yet. That was not in his vision yet. He was trying to launch some experiment with missiles from Russia or something. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but he gave up on that and decided to do SpaceX. So when we went down, it was at SpaceX's original headquarters, I think their first headquarters down there in Hawthorne or wherever it is. And one of the great things about pitching to Elon in this context is that a lot of times we would pitch to the VCs and to other angels, and they would say, "What you're trying to do is so crazy. You're trying to make an electric sports car. That's insane." And we are pitching to somebody who is actually trying to make rocket ships. And so in context,
couldn't really say that.
Right, in context, he was like, "Oh yeah, I got that. This seems, this is a no-brainer."
And he got our idea, our vision right away. I mean, in our original presentation, we said, look, we need to change the way the world thinks about electric cars, okay? Today, people think about electric cars as little ugly things that nobody wants to drive. And we know we can make an electric car that's very different. So to change the way people think about that, we need to make something that's radically different than what people expect.
In 2006, Tesla unveiled the prototype of its first car, the Roadster. The all-electric sports car sparked a lot of interest before it was even for sale.
Do you want to say anything about key players who were there in the early days with you?
I kind of think the whole gang of them were pretty good. I don't know. I mean, what that early crew put up with in the early days. When JB likes to call himself a founder, it's funny because Tristan started the same day.
That's right.
So if he's a founder, so's she.
Yeah.
Right. She was one of our software engineers, really first rate.
Yeah.
And now she's just quietly going on with her life, and she was as much a founder as JB was.
In the summer of 2007, Eberhard was replaced as CEO and left the company a few months later. Musk eventually became the fourth CEO of the company and has held that role since October of 2008.
Can you describe the moment that you realized you could no longer be part of Tesla?
No.
Is there anything you can say about why you left?
No. I was voted off the island, and in a rather rude way, it wound up with some lawsuits and some settlements, and it's history now. Yeah, so I can't say a lot about it.
Rip Martin Eberhard. I feel for the guy. Just imagine founding a company, then being unceremoniously booted out the door a few years later, not having any say in the matter. The board decides you got to go, and you're gone. But there is a silver lining. As he mentioned, there were some settlements, aka the guy got paid, so all's well that ends well, but man, that is kind of rough. And speaking of rough, I mean, if we're being honest, Tesla seems to have done okay without Martin, so it may have been for the best after all.
Tesla restarted the electric vehicle revolution. Without Tesla, there would not be electric cars today, and electric cars are the most important change in the automotive industry. It's transforming the entire auto industry, and it all comes from what we did at Tesla.
Does the Elon today, does that look like the Elon you knew in 2003?
I think Elon's Elonness has increased over the years.
No.
If you had to describe him in a nutshell.
No. I mean, if you wanted to describe Elon Musk in a nutshell, I don't think he would fit in a nutshell.
Now that is an understatement. Elon Musk is definitely 1 in a billion. No, make that 1 in 8 billion.
Yeah, Elon is complicated. He's real smart and delves into everything, which can be both a positive and a negative. He pushes on certain things in development that you kind of wonder why, and sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. And he's very much into risk. He's willing to take on risks, financial risks, for himself personally, and technology risks when he's working on something new that are a little out there, but when it works, it's really amazing. But of course, there's lots of sort of collateral damage along the way. But it's a way, it's a way to make things work.
I think Elon Musk's willingness to take risks in business is foundational to his success. In fact, I think the winning formula for anyone in business is having a combination of a big brain and big balls.
Here we are on top of our giant bowl of liquid oxygen. They say SpaceX has big balls, and it's true.
In fact, the biggest risk of all is being unwilling to take risks. And this doesn't just apply to business. It also applies to your personal life, whether we're talking about your relationships, your profession, your personal finances, investment, it doesn't matter. Being a scared little bitch and crying in the corner is not conducive to good outcomes. One great example of this would be every single legacy automotive manufacturer, who instead of taking some risks and pursuing electric vehicle technology, just continued to do what they'd always done because they were scared of making mistakes, scared of losing money, scared of trying something new, and now every single one of these companies will be bankrupt before the end of the decade. So slow clap for the little bitches who were too scared to take any risks and will now be out of business as a result. The great thing about taking risks in life is you'll either be successful or you'll learn. Unless you're a moron, in which case you might not learn from your failures, but hey, that's on you.
Tesla has done a great job of building a loyal fan base. They still have. Their followers will accept anything from them.
People want to, they want to do something that makes a difference, and
Yes.
I think it's still, it still has that excitement. At least I hope it does.
I mean, it's reached across from the early adopters into a more mainstream audience, and that's that's critical. And of course, a lot of people now who are buying the cars are just buying a car in some sense, which is in a way better, right? That's
We did it. We got across that chasm. Although even then, I will hear people that have no idea that I'm associated with Tesla anyway. They'll say, "Oh, we just got our Model 3 or whatever," and it's so great, and I just love. I mean, they're into it in a way that they're not in a.
The main thing is that they just drive differently.
Yeah, they're
you
way
go for a
more
drive
fun to
in a
drive.
Tesla, and it does not drive like your previous gasoline car. It's more fun.
Would you say you're still rooting for Tesla today?
I'm of course rooting for Tesla. I'm still a shareholder, and I'm still very interested to see that the mission that we pushed Tesla on in the beginning succeeds, for sure.
Yeah, the mission is so important, and as a shareholder, I want it to be successful. So yes, we want Tesla to be successful.
One of those kind of aha moments early on in the days of Tesla, before Al Gore came out with his movie, he was lecturing at various places around the country, and we and a couple of our staff went to go hear him speak at Stanford. As we walked out, one of our colleagues, Ron, said, because he was shaken by the talk also, and he said, "We've got to do something about this. We have to do something." And I said, "Ron, what do you think we're doing?" That's the whole point of the company.
So I hope you guys have found this video insightful. I thought it was quite fun to hear the perspective of Tesla's original founders, their thoughts on the company, and on Elon Musk. I'm Stephen Marc Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.